Hey guys, I hope you're well. So this week's series is all about how to figure out what you want, and I normally get the tripod set up and do all of that, but I really just wanted to chat about it right now. So that's what I'm doing. So the series, as I said, is how to figure out what you want, because I realized that a lot of the series I've done over the last few weeks, like how to use affirmations to achieve your goals, journaling, personal development, self-image, like with all of that, you actually need to know what it is you want. Otherwise, you don't really know what you're aiming for. So I thought this week I would chat about how to figure out what you want. So make sure you check out the blog post and the free workbook and the podcast episode as well, because in that I'm talking about all the ways we block ourselves from figuring out what we want and why we do that. So I will link it all below as always. But in this video, I just wanted to chat about why it is that most of us don't know what we want. And if you ask us what don't you want, a lot of us can really give a really clear picture of what it is we don't want. And as I spoke about in the law of attraction series and all of that, I'm sure you guys have probably heard it spoken about too, but you get what you focus on. So if you focus on what you don't want, you just keep getting what you don't want, and it doesn't matter that you don't want it. It's just whatever you're looking for in life, your reticular activating system in your brain will show you more of what you're expecting to find, basically. So I just wanted to talk really about the fact that I think knowing what you want is really uncomfortable. I don't know, I feel like no one's really talking about this. It sounds like if you know what you want, whether it's with a career or with a relationship or with your fitness or with your body, whatever it is, that it must feel amazing to know what you want. But I think, in my experience at least, I found that knowing what I want is really uncomfortable, because it brings up all the self-doubt I have, all of the insecurities I have about whether or not I can get it. It basically really at the same time, it's nice to know what I want. And for me, when I'm saying that, I'm thinking about in terms of my career, particularly there's still a lot of things I haven't clarified what exactly I want. And at the moment, I'm really focusing on my career and my business. And it feels nice to know that I love personal development, and however social media changes and blogging changes and all of that, I want to be talking about this kind of stuff. But it also brings up so much self-doubt, so much discomfort, so much insecurity about whether I can get it, how I'm gonna do it. It just is so uncomfortable. And I just think that a lot of us do know what we want to do. It's just really uncomfortable to admit it. And then we're telling ourselves that it shouldn't feel uncomfortable. So if we feel uncomfortable, something's gone wrong. And I don't think that's the case at all. So I really just wanted to film this video to basically just say that I think it's totally normal that once you figure out what you want, it's going to bring up a lot of self-doubt, a lot of discomfort. It'll probably make you question everything, and that's completely okay, and that's part of growth. If you felt comfortable, it means that basically you already would have it, because it's within your realm of your brain is used to it. So when something's uncomfortable, it's a sign that you will need to grow and that you are growing, because your brain's having to have thoughts it hasn't normally had, which feels very uncomfortable, and we always want to go back to those habitual thoughts. So yeah, I just wanted to basically jump on here and share that if you have been struggling to figure out what you want, whether that's in terms of your career or relationship or your living situation, whatever it is, you probably know what you want. And you may say, I don't know, but I'm suggesting, I'm inviting you to consider that you probably do know what you want, and you're just telling yourself you don't know so that you don't have to enter into that discomfort that comes with knowing what you want. Because as I was saying, once you know what you want, your brain's like, shit, I don't know how to get it. And in my series on the law of attraction and affirmation, I talk about like how we don't actually need to know the how, even though our rational brain won't believe, like we don't want to believe things until we know the how. But the only way to achieve something new is to be willing to believe in it before you know the how. And then because of the reticular activating system and because of the way the brain works, once you believe it, then you start to figure out the how. But we normally like keep ourselves so stuck because we wait until we have the how to believe it, but because we don't believe it, we can't figure out the how. So I just want to say, you might actually know what you want and you've just been stopping yourself from getting there. And in the podcast episode, I go into like all the reasons that we keep ourselves in this confusion. But yeah, it's just so uncomfortable to know what you want. So if you've been there thinking that it's going to feel really good to finally figure out what you want, I'm very sorry to be telling you this, but it's probably going to feel really uncomfortable. But I want to tell you this just because when the discomfort comes, it hopefully, or you can like direct your mind and remember that it's not actually that anything's gone wrong. It's normal for it to feel uncomfortable. It doesn't mean that that's a goal you shouldn't work towards. It doesn't mean anything. Do not make that discomfort mean that something's wrong or that you've made the wrong decision. But when you say, I want da 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 da, it's going to feel uncomfortable, especially because I feel like it's so common for us to always talk in terms of what we don't want. But to actually state something, I want whatever it is, feels very bold. And a lot of us have trained ourselves not to be that way. So yeah, that's basically all I wanted to chat about in this week's video. I hope you found it helpful. Make sure you check out like my full blog post on how to figure out what you want that has all the steps. But it is really important that you do know that it is uncomfortable. It's kind of like figuring out what you want, I feel like, is very similar to when you haven't worked out for a long time and you're just trying to get back into the gym or whatever it is. Like, your body's like, what the hell are you doing? And it just takes so much effort to get there. That's what it's going to feel like if you haven't been using your brain to its full potential, which most of us aren't. So expect it to be uncomfortable so that when it is, you don't freak out and you don't give up. Yeah, listen to the podcast episode as well. I know so many of you are struggling with this. I've definitely struggled with it at different points in time. So I really hope you find it helpful. And there's a workbook, a free workbook that will take you through all of the exercises that will really help you clarify what it is you want and be willing to actually state it and then begin to work towards it. So yeah, that's all I'm going to share today, and I will talk to you next week. Bye.